So if the idea of buying a home has seemed overwhelming to you, not knowing what's going to happen and when it's going to happen, then this video is the ideal video for you to watch, where we're going to cover the 9 simple steps in an easy to understand format that's going to allow you to understand what the home buying process entails and how to best prepare for it. So this is a great get ready video for you to make sure that you understand exactly what you're putting yourself into when it comes to buying a home, so that you are adequately prepared. So the best thing you can do for yourself is have preparation and understand, so it reduces anxiety, reduces stress, and makes this whole process way more enjoyable. My name is Andre. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty. I work in the Spring Hill, Florida area, Hernando County, Brooksville area, and I make videos like this to help people like you navigate the home buying process as simple as possible. And in today's video, we're doing these 9 simple steps. So let's go into the video and start with step number 1 is your finances. So the first thing you need to understand is, what do your finances look like? So do you have any money saved up? If not, what is your plan to start saving some money? Because you're going to need some things like down payment and closing costs. So your down payment could be as little as 3.5% or even 0% depending on the type of loan, up to about 20% for a standard conventional loan. And it can go anywhere in between. So you're gonna wanna get a good feel for your finances. Now, this particular piece is all about preparation. Do you have a good understanding of what your financing or finances are? So that way you can make a good informed decision on whether or not you're ready today to start the process, or you have some planning to do. Step number 2, you're going to want to get a pre-approval. Now, step number 3 is about hiring a realtor, but we're going to interchange these a little bit because one can go first or second. It really doesn't matter. So if you do not have a lender that you are working with, your realtor can provide you a recommendation, or you can do this ahead of time. So they're going to be interchangeable, but you are going to want to get pre-qualified. And now I would recommend a fully underwritten pre-approval. And the reason I would tell you that is because that'll give you much more certainty in terms of what you're able to borrow and the terms in which you're going to be able to borrow it at. So there's something called a pre-qualification letter, not great, not something that is very valuable. There's a pre-approval letter, which holds a lot of weight, so you can submit your offers with a pre-approval letter, but a fully underwritten pre-approval letter is one of the best ways that you can go. So that way, the lender is going to take all of your information up front and run it through to make sure that what you can actually qualify for, or what you said, there's no hiccups along the way. We have seen too many houses fall through because of financing. Not only is that frustrating for the seller, it's also going to be frustrating for you when you have the house of your dreams and it falls apart at the end because of financing. So the better prepared you are up front with financing, the better. And the things that you want to have a conversation with your lender is, what loan option would be best for your situation? Where are you looking at? Making sure they understand what your credit score is, what your debt is. They're going to look at something called your debt to income ratio, which is going to allow you to qualify for certain loan types. Some loan types have a higher debt to income ratio than others, so they're going to help you navigate which one. If you are a first-time home buyer, they may help you with down payment assistance programs if there's anything available to you. If you are a veteran, they may put you towards the VA loan and show you what's available for you there. If you're just a straight conventional loan, they're going to talk to you about something called private mortgage insurance, or PMI. Or if you're on an FHA, MIP. So these are great conversations to have with your lender, and they're going to explain everything. Now, the beauty of all of this is, because this is such a broad topic when it comes to individual finance, that lender is going to tailor the conversation specifically for what you tell them that you are trying to do. Now, step number 3 is get a realtor. Now, you could do that step number 2, but either way, it doesn't really matter. Step number 3 is a realtor. So a realtor is the person who is going to help navigate you through the entire process of buying a home. Now, here's the most important thing. You should work with somebody that you have a great rapport with, that you trust, and that is out there to help you and listen to you in terms of what it is that you are trying to do. So in the world of realtors, the value of a realtor is not in sending you listings. Zillow, Realtor.com, all of those are getting the same listings we are. But what it is in terms of looking at a particular house, narrowing the search, having the conversation with you about what are actual strong desire wants versus needs, that's the value in the conversation there, is to explore and open your horizon and open your mind to things that you may not have thought of, or things that you may not be considering, things that you're not even aware that you should even be looking at. It's what you don't know, okay? And a good realtor is going to plug in those information and knowledge gaps for you along the way, because every single person who's buying a home is different. And so if you are in the Spring Hill area and you want to have a conversation with me, my stuff is in the description of this video if you wanted to have a conversation. But you really should get to know your realtor, because you're going to be working very closely with them and you want to know that they're going to have your best interest. Another thing that comes up is, how does a realtor get paid? On the buyer side, the seller typically has a listing agreement with a listing agent, and that the commission for the buy side is actually baked into that process. Now, here's something that people don't talk about that I think is super critical. The default relationship in Florida is called a transaction broker, okay? So when we meet or when we have a conversation, my default is a transaction broker when we don't have anything signed. Now, what I would recommend is that when you find a realtor that you like, you go into a single agent relationship. And here's the value of a single agent relationship, is they owe you obedience, loyalty, and full disclosure, okay? In a transaction, there's actually limited disclosure and limited confidentiality. So there's a big difference when it comes to a single agent and a transaction broker. And now, if you were to hire somebody as a single agent and it didn't work out, you can certainly fire them. But what it does, it's like putting a ring on it. You're committing to each other through the process, because a lot of the work of the realtor is front loaded. We don't ask anything out of the buyer, and we as realtors get paid at closing. So we can work with somebody for as little or as long as necessary in order to do that. But it makes a much more beneficial relationship if it's under single agent as opposed to a transaction broker. Step number 4, get focused on your search. Now, we were talking in step number 3 about the realtor's job is able to help you narrow down that search. But ideally, you're going to want to have a conversation either alone, you with yourself, if it's just you, with your family, whoever it is that you're purchasing this house with, is what is it that you're actually looking for and where? Because there's so many different options. Even in a low inventory environment, there are over 10,000 homes listed in any one particular section in an MLS. So there's a lot of different options and a lot of different price points. So at this point, we've qualified how much we can spend. Now we're trying to figure out what is it that we're looking for and what is it that we want. Now, keep this in mind. There's a lot of people who believe that they're looking for their forever home. And while I will not discount that that's possible, we know that the average person stays in their home for 5 to 7 years. So you want to think about that horizon and say, maybe this may not be, I'm looking at this is my right now home and my foreseeable future home. What is it that I need? So if you're a growing family, do you have enough bedrooms? Or in 2 to 3 years, are you going to be running out of space? In terms of schools and school districts, are you in the area that you want to be in terms of like where the school districts are, so that you know when it comes time to it, these are the schools that are assigned to you, even though you may not be using them today. What are the local amenities? What's being built around you? Whether or not there's new construction or there's land for sale or things like that, because this was something that happened to me. I bought it in an area back in 2012 that was underdeveloped, and it is fully developed now. So what it looked like when I bought it and what it looked like when I sold are not the same thing. So you're going to want to know, is this an area that's going to see more development, more growth? Maybe I don't have a backyard neighbor right now, but is that land for sale? Will it be for sale someday? What's going to happen with that? Now, do I have enough space for a playground? Do I have enough space for a pool? If it doesn't have a pool, like there are so many different things that you're going to look at in terms of what is the criteria for your home. I'll give you a couple others to think about too. If you're on a 2-story home, is your laundry on the first floor or the second floor? Is your master bedroom, do you want it on the first floor or the second floor? Do you want a split floor plan? Do you want an open floor plan? How is it that you live your life every day? Because I can tell you, even as a realtor, we sell homes and we help people buy them, but we also buy homes ourselves. So I could tell you, we've had to have these conversations in our family. How do we live our daily life? What rooms do we use? What rooms do we think we use, but we may not even ever use? And that happened to us in our first house. We had a dining room that we thought was the most beautiful thing when we bought it, and we never sat in it. So it was a wasted space. We had to reconvert it into something else because it was never going to be used as the dining room. Even though when we bought it, we thought we would have a million meals there. It just never happened. So you're definitely going to want to think through, how do you live your life? And also, what do you want that life to look like in the future? So you want to have a little bit of visualization. So that way, when we start narrowing down the search, you're not getting 100 listings. You're trying to narrow it down to at least 5 to 7 viable options that are on the market now, so that you're not completely overwhelmed when it comes to all the different features and benefits that a house will provide. Because every house that is in the market now will not be perfect. The only way you can guarantee yourself a perfect home is if you designed it and built it your home, and even then perfection is not guaranteed, because after the fact you might always have regret. So being able to really focus in on what's a want versus a need, what are you willing to compromise on versus what's a non-negotiable, those are the conversations to have. And a realtor can also help you kind of jog that memory a little bit, because there are going to be things that you're not going to be thinking about. And that's where we come alongside you. Now, we don't replace the conversation. We just come alongside you to make sure that you are getting the information that you need. Step number 5 is you make an offer. So you're going to have to look to see what the comps are in the area, what it is that's going on, and all of the different elements that are going to be available to you in order to make a good offer. And the offer is going to be based off of what you're willing to do. So the offer could be in 2 parts. The negotiating of the sales price, or the negotiating of any closing cost credits or anything like that that goes in between, in addition to your inspection period. Those are 3 of the major components that are going to come to that. So you're going to put an offer on a price with a concession or a closing cost credit or something like that, along with an inspection period. In Florida, the average inspection period is about 7 days. So you're going to put this offer in and start the conversation knowing that you could get counter offered. Now, I talk to people about this all the time. If you want a seller to engage with you, you're going to want to be very, very clear about what you're looking to accomplish. And you're actually going to want to have your realtor have a conversation to make sure they understand what the seller is willing to accomplish, so that an offer is not so far off or so different than what the terms they're looking for, that they make sure that you can start the process of getting a deal put together. Now, if you're a type of buyer who wants to offer way under asking with no context or anything like that, you run the risk of not even being answered at all or not being taken seriously. So when you make an offer, you're going to want to look and make sure that the offer is something that you're comfortable with, that is in line with what's fair and reasonable, and takes into consideration whether or not you have any competition in terms of other offers available to them at that moment, provided by the other realtor. They usually let you know that there's other offers that they're considering or pending, and so they'll kind of give you a heads up on what's going on there. So continuing on, once you have that offer accepted, you're going to go into your inspection period. Your inspection period is the time in which you get all of your inspections done. So like a general home inspection, septic tank inspection, pool inspections, 4-point wind mitigation, every type of inspection or kind of thing that you need to do is going to be done during that 7-day period. And then from there, you're going to get a report. Now, if you are buying a pre-owned or pre-lived-in home, that home inspection is actually a benefit to the buyer in order to protect your investment or protect your purchase, to make sure there's nothing majorly wrong with the home that doesn't need to be repaired or addressed before closing. Now, when it comes to that, we talk about this in 2 lists. What is the honey-do list, which is the small list of items or the small ticket items that are going to be prevalent in any house that you purchase, any particular place that you purchase it, unless it's brand new. And also there's going to be a list of things that are going to require way more concern or things like that. So a 4-point inspection is going to be your roof, your plumbing, your HVAC, and your electrical, okay? In order to get insurance, you need to have a clean 4-point. So if the 4-point is not what we would consider clean, that is an area that you're going to need to get rectified at a minimum. So you're going to want to reserve some of that conversation to whether or not the 4-point is something that needs to be addressed. Now, on a list of other items, you're going to see things like outlets or things like that. Those are small items that I would encourage you not to particularly think too hard about, because those are things that can be easily rectified by going to Home Depot or Lowe's after you close and getting getting them repaired. In my own house, I still have a list of things from my inspection that I haven't even taken care of yet. So it's not uncommon for that to happen. But you don't want to blow up a deal for yourself when it comes to little items that have low value associated to getting them repaired. What you do want to negotiate with is those high value items that need to be repaired, or else you can't get insurance, or it's really not beneficial for you to move forward with the house. Now, if for some reason you cannot come to a deal at that point on the inspection period and the negotiation and all the repairs, you are able to walk away. And that is your walk away period. Now, I do not like to recommend people use this as a weapon for themselves. I think that somebody who makes an offer should be serious and committed to trying to get to that end goal in mind if they seriously like the house. So that's always going to be my recommendation. But if there comes a point in time where there's a repair that's so far gone and the seller's not willing to budge, and if we're at an impasse, it may be beneficial for us to walk away from that deal at that point. So that's what's going to happen in the inspection period. So let's just say we are clear from the inspection period and we want to move on to the next phase. So the next phase is going to be your appraisal period. Now, if you are getting a loan, a bank is not going to want to lend you any more money than what the house is worth. So you're going to end up getting an appraisal, and that appraisal is going to make sure that what you're paying for the house and what the house is worth are the same. Now, if you run into appraisal issues, there are a couple things that could happen. If it's too high, congratulations, you got equity. If it's too low, the bank's not going to give you that money. So you're either going to have to come out of pocket to make up the difference, or you can ask the seller to come down in price to meet the appraised value. All of those are the conversations that could happen. But you want to have those conversations up front and understand that if you decide to take a house at less than appraised value, you are buying a house for more than it's worth. So that is something to consider. And so if the seller actually doesn't want to come down to the appraised value, that also can terminate a deal as well. So those are a couple of scenarios on the closing. Step number 7, we're talking about financing now. So now, if you got a fully underwritten pre-approval, this process is going to be a little bit smoother for you. But if you didn't, you're going to be going through the financing process as we go through the contract terms and through that time period to get your financing cleared so you can get cleared to close. And this is where you're going to look to get a conditional approval. Your lender is going to ask you for documents related to your work history, related to your debts. All of those things are going to be collected so that they can underwrite that and make sure that you are qualified in order to get the loan. And so this is the time period in which you are working behind the scenes with the lender to make sure that they are getting everything that they need from you. So now you've taken care up to this point of the inspection period, the appraisal period is happening. Now you're also doing your financing to make sure that you are good to go when it comes to getting a loan. So step number 8, now we're getting close to the finish line. Your financing is good. The appraisal is good. We're through the inspection. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be other little tidbit details that come up, but you're through the big 3. You're able to get insurance on the home, right? These are all things that we're working through the process to have happen. So now we're going to do a final walkthrough. And now the final walkthrough is to make sure that what you bought and what you saw is what you're buying. Because when you start to take everything out of the house or start to move things around, things start to get a little bit unearthed, or maybe they did something to the house after everything was done that was detrimental to it. This is your last chance before you sign your life away at the closing table to make sure that this house is what it is. So please don't take the final walkthrough thing lightly. You want to make sure you're walking through. Again, there's going to be nails and holes in the wall from pictures and all of that stuff. That is not the kind of thing that you're going to be overly concerned with unless it's major damage to everything. But you're going to want to make sure that like appliances that you thought were part of the home are still there, that things that you thought were coming with the home that are part of the purchase contract are still there, that there was no damage to anything that wasn't previously disclosed or happened between the appraisal time and the closing time. So that opportunity for the final walkthrough is at that time. So make sure you take that seriously, and your realtor should give you a form to sign off that we did it together and all of that's good. Step number 9, closing. So we did it. We did the whole process. Now, when you're doing this process, I think you should give yourself anywhere from 3 to 6 months from beginning to end. From the time that you identify that you're ready to buy to the time that you're at the closing table, could be as short as 3 months, depending on how expeditiously we work, or around 6 months. But it's a very big ask to go from not having a home to a home that quickly if you haven't done all of this legwork. So this particular video is designed to help you understand the different phases of all of the things that we're going to do. And everything that we've done is to get up to this point, which is the closing table. This is where you sign all of your loan documents. They're going to provide you with disclosures up to 3 days before that. They're going to give you the closing disclosures, your alters, all of that kind of stuff is going to come to you, so that way you know all the different details of your loan. And at the end, you're going to go to the title company or maybe a mobile notary or something like that. They can come to your home these days, and then you're going to sign all of that and you close on the home and you get your keys. And congratulations, you are now a homeowner, whether it's for the first time or again. But let's put it this way. The process of buying a home is segmented into steps. And when you do these steps and you know the order of these steps and you can anticipate what's going to happen, it makes the anxiety or the fear of the unknown relatively more manageable. It doesn't mean that there are not some anxious moments, and there's just always going to be some anxious moments. People do what people do. That's just the nature of it. But as we go through it, the more educated and informed you are, the better you're going to be at going through this process and being able to manage those emotions. So if any of this resonated with you, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, keep up with what I'm doing. If you're somebody who's in the market and you vibed with what I was saying and the way I was saying it, and you want to connect with me, my contact information is on the screen. You have a way to schedule an appointment with me in the description. Otherwise, I want to continue to make these videos to help people make the leap to home ownership or to changing a home as simple as possible. And it comes through education. Education, education, education. So if you resonate with that, man, I would love to connect with you. I love you guys. Have a great day and see you guys in the next video.